Hi, it's Ben from My Cycling Coach. I hope you're well and that you're having a great day. Just out on a training ride this morning. Conditions really starting to improve now out in the mountains. Blue skies, summer's really started to arrive, which is nice. And also a decent increase in temperature, sort of holding it around the mid-20s now, which is nice to ride in, obviously. And this is actually something that I wanted to speak to you about or talk to you in today's video about this increase in temperature, as I've been speaking to a few cyclists recently, and I believe you guys have also had some much warmer conditions in the UK as well. And a few riders have been explaining to me how they've now been starting to maybe suffer from cramp a little bit more as part of some of the longer rides that they're doing at the weekend in these warmer temperatures. So I've got 3 quick tips for you today on how you can really deal with these temperatures and what you need to maybe just tweak a little bit with maybe hydration, electrolyte intake and fueling to help deal with that increase in temperature, but then also obviously avoid cramp. This could also be, you know, if you've got any events or sportives coming up where the conditions could potentially be warmer, you know, in the mid-20s. You know, this does really influence a lot of things. So the first tip today is to really just look at your hydration levels or hydration intake, fluid intake on the bike. You know, you may have sort of over springtime now been aiming for around sort of 500 millilitres an hour, and that has been okay. But now as temperatures obviously start to increase when you're doing your rides, your sweat rates may then also increase. You will start to sweat a lot more, which means you then obviously need to take on more fluid to replace the fluid you are losing through the sweat. So, you know, going from 500 millilitres an hour to 750 millilitres an hour is certainly something you can try there, just to replace that lost fluid. You know, obviously if you do start to get dehydrated, this can then cramp can then occur. And also, you know, just dehydration will inhibit exercise performance, you know, slow down, you know, blood flow to periphery, working muscles, obviously the brain as well, which can then start, you know, sometimes some guys have even explained to me they've started to feel some headaches and things. So really important you keep that hydration up. Warmer conditions, when you're starting to sweat more, push it up to around 750 millilitres an hour. You can even go to a litre an hour if you still find this isn't enough and you are maybe still suffering from cramp or some of the things that I've mentioned there. Tip number 2 then is to look at your electrolyte intake. So again, through those increased sweat rates, you will start to sweat out a lot more electrolytes. So this is, you know, your magnesium, sodium, potassium, calcium. And if these electrolyte levels drop too low, this is another thing that can cause cramp. So really important that you are topping up with electrolytes. You know, if you're using a carb mix in your bottle, an ISO mix or something, a lot of the sports nutrition companies now will include or put some electrolytes in with that powder as well. If you're not using a carb mix that has got electrolytes in that powder, then you can just get electrolyte tablets. You know, again, a lot of the sports nutrition companies are doing this now. You can even just get them from like Boots or your chemist or something like that. You know, tablets, they can be flavored, unflavored, and you can just drop these into your bottle. Again, when you're taking on that fluid then through the ride, this is going to allow you to keep those electrolytes topped up. Again, avoid cramp and replenish those that you're obviously losing through those increased sweat rates. Tip number 3 then is just to look at your fueling intake. Again, if you're now riding in warmer, hotter conditions, the body then does have to tend to sort of just work a little bit harder. You will see an increase in heart rate with an increased ambient temperature as well, which means you're going to be burning more calories per hour. The body's going to be working harder, using up more carbohydrate, using up more glycogen. So it is important that, again, you maybe just increase your hourly fueling on the bike from what you have been doing in the spring. Going into the summer now, you know, I always recommend 40 to 60 grams an hour for rides that are longer than 90 minutes in length. So if you've maybe been at the lower end of that scale there, around the 40 grams or even below that, you may then benefit now just pushing that up to closer to the 50, 60 grams an hour, especially on long rides that are in the heat, you know, maybe 3, 4, 5, even 6 hour rides or 100 milers, rides that you do in events, you know, 60 grams an hour. You really want to be trying to aim for those intakes, because that again is just going to allow the body to be fueled, if the muscle does get too depleted in glycogen, this can also then be something that causes cramp, and the muscles start to really tense up just because they are really depleted in that glycogen depleted state. So yeah, just 3 quick tips there today. As I say, temperatures are increasing, which is fantastic. We're getting more hours on the bike, maybe doing more riding, but it is important that you just adjust a few things with your hydration and fueling there to be able to still maintain performance, but also enhance your recovery. If you found this video useful, as always, please drop a like on the video. Feel free to follow, share, subscribe, and any comments, as always, I would love to hear from you. Have a great rest of your day, enjoy your riding, and speak soon.